Every headline should say in the United States of America this morning is Trump is a Nazi.
Trump is a full-blown autocrat dictator wannabe who has fascist tendencies. We know that because Mark Milley, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, has said that. He is fascist to the core. Then we have John Kelly, who was Trump's longest-serving chief of staff, and he's a four-star general. And his son died serving in the military in Afghanistan. And this is what he said about Donald J. Trump.
What do you think? Do you think he's a fascist?
Well, I'm looking at the definition of fascism. It's a far-right, authoritarian, ultranationalist political ideology and movement characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition, belief in a natural social hierarchy. So, but certainly the former president is in the far right area. He's certainly an authoritarian, admires people who are dictators. He has said that. So he certainly falls into the general definition of fascist, for sure.
Clearly, everybody that has ever worked around him that is a decent person sees how dangerous he is. But I want to push back on one thing you said. You said he has fascist tendencies. Tendencies is too soft. It's too soft, Pumps.
Okay,
We're
sorry.
past that. That's what the press says when they try to do this false equivalency stuff. He is a fascist. Furthermore, he is a Nazi. Like, he wants his generals to be like the Gestapo, to be like Hitler's generals. This is un-American, unbelievably, radically dangerous. And here's what I'm going to say. We've all known that Trump is a nut for a very, very, very long time. Then people work with him for 4 years, and then they start falling like dominoes and saying, hey, this guy is not smart, he's crazy, he's dangerous, he's unhinged. And you still have some people, you've got the cult, they're brainwashed, whatever. I want to talk about the people above that are smart enough and know better, that like the cruelty, that like the racism, that like all of this crap. And I'm calling out Moses Mike. I'm calling out the Wall Street Journal editorial board. I'm calling out a lot of mainstream news stations that try to play this like it's a false equivalency. And most importantly, I'm calling out all of the Americans that have torn themselves into a pretzel to vote for this heaping pile of shit that is a Nazi. And we need to be direct, and we need to be pointed, and we need to call him exactly what he is. He is a fucking Nazi. And think about this. He wants his generals to be like Nazi generals, and the Allied forces beat them.
Right. Well, and it shows his lack of historical knowledge because Hitler's generals tried to kill him. But of course, that would be too big of a nuanced argument to make for him. But when I hear someone say, well, I'm not a big Trump fan, but I just don't know enough about Kamala Harris. Okay, you know Trump's a racist. You know Trump is homophobic. You know Trump hates women. And now you know Trump is a fascist to the core. These are not Democrats saying this. These are people who worked for him. So go fuck yourself. I need to know more about Kamala Harris. I can't hear that anymore. You know enough about Donald Trump to make a decision. And if you can't make a decision based on him being a fascist, then there is no hope for you.
Let's just call it what it is. When somebody says, I like his policies, or I'm concerned about the economy, or I don't know enough about Kamala Harris, the appropriate response is, so you're fine with a Nazi who's a racist, who's a convicted felon, an adjudicated sex offender. You're okay with all of those things. Thanks for letting me know. That's a deal breaker in our friendship.
Absolutely. I just don't even know why anybody would have the hubris to say, well, I don't like him, but I like him on the economy.
I want to point out before we move on to the next clip, in this article, it was revealed that Trump would pay for a fallen soldier's funeral.
Yes.
And he gets the bill for it, and it's $60,000. And this is his quote. How is it $60,000 to bury a fucking Mexican? And he looks at Mark Meadows and says, do not pay it. So he's a racist. He is a lover of Hitler and Nazi ideals. He's a convicted felon. We need to let everybody know, when you see history and you see the Germans that are heiling Hitler, and you see the little black girl walking into school and all the white people hurling insults, that's how you are right now. That's how you're going to be documented. Because I would always wonder when I would see that footage, who are these people that were okay with that? Well, we're living with them.
That's right.
We're living with them. In this country right now, it is a full-blown mental health crisis.
Absolutely agree.
All right, next we're going to cover more of his unhinged ramblings and fascist ideas that he is trying to mainstream.
That's right.
And a lot of mainstream media enablers are helping him cover this accordingly. Before then, we would like to share a word from our sponsor. Please support us by supporting our sponsors, and we'll be back with more hot takes. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Pumps, oftentimes I don't feel like myself, and I feel out of sorts, and I can't get tuned in to like, okay, what am I supposed to be thinking here? What am I supposed to be doing here? Life just starts running away from me. And then I realize I always feel so much better after I've had a session with my BetterHelp therapist.
Nothing helps get me off the hamster wheel like a session with my therapist from BetterHelp. And what's so great for me is you can do it in the comfort of your own home where you have no inhibitions.
Listener, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Take off the mask with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/IHIP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/IHIP.
So right on cue, as Trump always does, he is at a rally in North Carolina, which I just want to point out, the residents of North Carolina, where he is going, it is the hurricane-ravaged part of North Carolina. He's blocking the streets. There's security issues. They can't get help.
Didn't he get like a French fry pin, an award from a McDonald's guy?
Yes, he did.
He got a little like, and flashed it for the crowd, like, hey, I got a French fry cook pin.
Which here's the deal. We all know he couldn't get a job at McDonald's because he's a convicted felon.
Yeah.
But that's here nor there. So he's at this rally, putting people who have already been the victims of natural disaster even into more inconvenience. And he is saying at his rallies how much he admires Xi from China, who is a dictator.
Imagine what President Xi, I got to know him very well. He's a fierce individual. The press, the fake news hates when I say that he's a brilliant man. He runs 1.4 billion people with an iron fist.
He tells us over and over and over who he is. He is a dictator. He's running as a dictator. His biggest regret is that he wasn't able to cling on to power.
That's right.
There's no decorum. There's no decency. This is a mentally unwell person that wants absolute power. Absolutely. He wants to jail other Americans. It doesn't even, getting everybody to hate immigrants is just the tip of the iceberg. It goes deeper and way further beyond that. And what he is proposing to do to the military, where they take an oath to the Constitution, he wants to do away with that part and have them take an oath to him personally. That is the most un-American, anti-military, weak, pitiful leader a country like the United States of America could ever have.
Well, and just in closing, there's nothing that irritates Donald Trump more than Barack Obama. We know he has penis envy already, so I dare say the penis envy, number one, is Barack Obama. So, also in North Carolina, he's talking about dictator Kim Jong-un, his boyfriend, who he writes love letters to.
And he has no respect for our leadership now, and he didn't respect Obama. He thought Obama was a real jerk. And I think he's a real jerk because I've watched him campaign over the last couple of days. I watched him campaign. What a divider he is, right? What a divider he is. He'd divide this country. He couldn't care less. Him and his little group of people. He was terrible.
I mean, some of this is just politics, him talking about Obama or whatever. And it obviously gets under his skin because Obama is everything that he couldn't be. First and foremost, a winner. Right. He won the popular vote twice and the electoral college vote twice. Wildly popular, still wildly popular, wildly adored, internationally adored. The problem with all of that is he thinks that it is a good political message to tell an American audience that a complete nut, Kim Jong-un, who tells his citizens that he doesn't take a shit. He tells the citizens of North Korea that he's so perfect that he doesn't poop, okay? He thinks it is a great idea to tell an American audience that weirdo, total dictator, I mean, just weird, dangerous sociopath, Kim Jong-un, that Kim Jong-un thinks Obama's a jerk. That is a sign of strength for Obama's presidency, because I would hope that an American president would be a jerk to a complete authoritarian, murderous dictator. That is a good thing. But here's the problem. The audience is cheering. That's how stupid a huge portion of the American public is. They're so goddamn dumb. And that's why he wants to dismantle the Department of Education. That's why he brags about doing so well with the poorly educated. And that's who goes to his rallies. And so they have a little bit of cover because we're talking about people who are poorly educated, who are deeply indoctrinated into this cult. But I want to talk about the layer above that, the media layer above that, and the American citizens above that know better. And I've said it once and I'll say it again. It's the racism. It's the racism. And who brought all of this racism back up after the Obama presidency? It's always been there, but who said, I don't want that man, that black man, living in the White House, sleeping on the linens, and eating on the china. That's not okay. Where's his birth certificate? And it made them all boil up and come out in this racist rage. And now we see what it is, because he lets all of that just percolate out there. He lets it all percolate and they all get riled up, so much so that they have moved the goalpost that now the American public, a percentage of the American public also admires Kim Jong-un. Right. Xi, Vladimir Putin, and Viktor Orban.
They do. And people at his rallies, as we know from our friends, the Good Liars, if you say, who would you rather have as the leader of the country, Vladimir Putin or Joe Biden? They're all like, oh, Putin, not even close. That's how twisted up in knots they have become. It's gross. I hate it.
I just want to leave it that I think that Vladimir Putin is blackmailing Donald Trump. I think he's been blackmailing him for a long time. This is Russian psychological warfare that has infiltrated this country through the biggest fucking moron on the planet, Donovan Lecter. I mean, a complete, total moron. Who the hell are these educated Americans by the millions in the editorial boards of newspapers that sanewash and excuse this horrific person?
It's jaw-dropping.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
It's so